Namaste. This is Professor Subramanyam Naidu, Professor of Anthropology, former Dean and Director, Central University Pondicherry, and member of Indian Council of Social Science Research and NCRT. Now let us look into the definitions of tribe. According to the Imperial Gazette of India, a tribe is a collection of families bearing a common name, speaking a common dialect, occupying or professing to occupy a common territory, and it is usually endogamous, though originally it might have been so. So a simple definition has been given in the Imperial Gazette of India. As per the definition of Oxford Dictionary, a tribe is a group of people in a primitive or barbarous stage of development, acknowledging the authority of a chief and usually regarding themselves as a common ancestor. Lucy Mayer defines a tribe as an independent political division of a population with a common culture, while D.N. Mazumdar defines a tribe as a social group with a territorial affiliation, endogamous with no specializations of functions, ruled by tribal officers, hereditary or otherwise, united in language or dialect, recognizing the social distance with other tribes or castes. That is, he speaks about endogamy and living exclusively isolation from other caste populations. Ralph Linton defines a tribe may be a group of bands occupying a contiguous territory on territories and having a feeling or sense of unity deriving from numerous similarities in culture, contacts with a certain community of interest. So he gives more importance on kinship, that is we call as a band system. Lewis believes that tribal societies are small in scale or restricted with the spatial and temporal range of their social, political and legal relations and possesses a morality, a religion and a broader view of corresponding dimensions. He lays emphasis more on political structure and network of relations, kinship system and also the bands. That is the difference between the previous definitions and other definitions. Another important definition is by T.B. Nayak. He gives a different cultural features of a tribe. He defines tribe should have a least functional interdependence within the community. That is, a tribe is divided into number of gotras, or we can call as a clans and bands. So these are all dependent on each other for their social, cultural and economic activities. The second one is economically backward, that is they are the primitive and having a traditional means of exploiting natural resources. Tribal economy should be at an underdeveloped stage and having a multifarious economic pursuits. That means, they are not developed communities. Still they are food gathering, hunting, fishing and shifting cultivation and domestication of animals are the most important occupations for them. That is why we can call this the economically backward communities. Another feature of a tribe is a comparative geographical isolation of its people. So the tribes generally live in the forest regions or interior regions and they prefer isolation. They don't want to live with any caste or communities population. Most of the tribal villages are you can able to see in the interior jungles. They live in isolation. Generally, they don't like to live with the caste populations. That is the unique characteristics of the tribes. Of course, Now, because of industrialization, urbanization, and acculturation, some of the tribes, especially the plain tribes, are inhabiting with the caste populations also present today. And the another feature is having a common dialect. It is a very important one. Every tribe as having its own dialect, which differs from other tribal languages or from the caste populations. Of course, present day, many of them adopted for their survival local and regional languages. Then, another important feature is politically unorganized and community panchayat should be influential. Here, it is a unique characteristics of the tribe. They have their own indigenous traditional tribal laws. Entire community is governed by the tribal laws. They have their own chief and also they have their own customs and traditions in dealing with the different type of cases. They have their own customary laws. The laws are different from others. They won't go for any police station or other. The tribal laws are different from other laws. The unique characteristics is the having a common dialect among the tribes. Every tribe they have their own dialect which differs from other caste population. Politically unorganized society. That means they have their own indigenous political system which is not systematically organized, unorganized political system, and they have their own customary laws. The laws governing them is totally different from other caste and communities. They have their own indigenous traditional laws. Guhe, in his tribal studies, discusses that religion or occupation or racial features prove inadequate when one attempts to distinguish tribe from non-tribe in India. It is a really very important aspect to be considered because based on the racial features and occupation and religion, we cannot say that a particular community belongs to tribe or not. He gives substantiative recommendations to identify as a tribe. They live away from civilized world in most inaccessible part of both forest and hill regions. The second one is they belong either to one of three stocks such as Negrito, Australoid or Mongoloid. The third one is they speak a same tribal dialect. All the tribes belong to a particular group speaks a separate dialect of their own. Then fourth one is they possess a primitive religion known as animism in which worship of ghosts or spirits is the most important element. This is very important, which I have also observed in my tribal studies that most of the tribes have their own animistic way of worship the gods. Then fifth one is they follow primitive occupation such as gleaning, hunting and gathering and forest produce, which I have discussed with you earlier. Many of the tribes, especially the primitive tribes belong to India, still follow the traditional way of food gathering, hunting, fishing, slash and burn, that is food cultivation and domestication of animals, fishing, or some of them are the major occupations for them. Then sixth one is they are largely carnivorous and flesh or meat eaters. Of course, except the Todas of Nilgiri Hills who are pastoralists, all others are non-vegetarian tribes. They live either naked or semi-naked, using tree bark and leaves for clothing. Yes, once they are semi-naked and naked, now most of them or majority of them, except Andaman tribes, majority of them are now wearing cloths. Most of the tribes who are living in the interior areas and forest regions, they have their own way of distillation of alcohol, indigenous way of preparing and drinking habits. Another important feature is they have their own folklore and folk dances. They have a rich cultural heritage of dance and songs. Every tribe they have a songs and dances.